The moment of lucidity is almost always quiet. Contrary to what many people expect, it rarely arrives with fireworks or excitement. More often, it feels like a subtle shift, a soft inner click, a sudden knowing. You are standing somewhere familiar or strange, and then, without drama, you realize this is a dream. What happens next determines everything. Most lucid dreams end not because lucidity is difficult to achieve, but because the dreamer does not know how to meet this moment correctly. The mind rushes ahead, the body tenses, emotions spike, and the fragile balance that holds the dream together is lost. So, the first and most important thing to understand is this: lucidity is not an action, it is a state of awareness, and awareness must be handled gently. When you realize you are dreaming, do not rush to change anything. Do not try to fly. Do not summon anything. Do not test the limits of the dream yet. Instead, allow yourself to remain exactly where you are. Let the realization settle into you the way a deep breath settles into the body. Calm awareness is what anchors you in the dream. At this stage, your task is not control. Your task is presence. Feel where you are standing. Notice the ground beneath your feet. Notice the air around you. You don't need to analyze the scene or question it. Simply observe it as if you were seeing it for the first time. This quiet observation sends a clear signal to the mind. I am here and I am not leaving. Very often the dream responds immediately. Colors become deeper. The image sharpens. The sense of being inside the dream grows stronger. This happens because attention feeds the dream. The more gently and steadily you pay attention, the more stable the dream becomes. One of the most natural ways to deepen this stability is through touch. Touch is grounding, both in waking life and in dreams. Slowly bring your attention to your hands. Notice their shape, their movement, their warmth. You might gently rub your palms together or run your fingers across a nearby surface. There's no need to hurry. The dream does not respond well to urgency. It responds to curiosity. As you touch the dream world, you may notice sensations becoming surprisingly vivid. Texture, temperature, resistance, all of it helps anchor your awareness more deeply into the dream body. At this point, many dreamers experience a shift. The fear of waking up fades, replaced by a quiet confidence that the dream can continue. Another powerful stabilizing force is your voice. Speaking inside a lucid dream is not about shouting commands. It is about setting intention with calm certainty. You can softly say that you want clarity or stability, or simply that you wish to remain in the dream. Spoken words have a unique weight in the dream state. They organize attention and give structure to experience. Often the dream responds almost immediately, becoming clearer and more coherent. There may be moments when the dream begins to feel unstable despite your efforts. The image may dim, sounds may fade, or you may feel a pulling sensation, as if you are being drawn back toward waking. When this happens, the most important thing is not to resist or panic. Panic is a sudden return to the physical body, and resistance usually accelerates waking. Instead, shift your attention back into the dream. Movement can help, but it should be slow and intentional. Turning your body, allowing yourself to fall, or focusing intently on a single object can often restore stability. These actions are not tricks. They are ways of redirecting attention away from the physical body and back into the dream environment. Once the dream feels stable again, a new temptation arises, the desire to change everything at once. This is another common reason lucid dreams collapse. The dream mind does not respond well to force, it responds to expectation. Sudden, dramatic attempts to reshape the dream often introduce tension and doubt, which weaken the dream state. A more effective approach is to work with what is already present. If you wish to go somewhere else, allow the transition to feel natural. Walk through a doorway, turn a corner, let the dream rearrange itself gradually. This cooperation creates continuity, and continuity keeps you dreaming. At this stage, it is helpful to hold a single clear intention, not a list of goals, not a grand plan, just one simple direction for the experience to take. Perhaps you want to explore the environment, speak to a dream character, or ask a question. A clear intention acts like a compass. It gives the dream structure without restricting it. With experience, you begin to understand that long lucid dreams are not created through effort, but through relationship. The dream is not something to dominate or control completely. It is something to interact with, to listen to explore. The more respectful and attentive you are, the more the dream opens itself to you. This is why calm lucid dreamers tend to stay dreaming longer than excited ones. Calm awareness keeps the bridge between consciousness and dreaming intact. Excitement, fear, or impatience shakes that bridge. Over time, you may notice a deeper shift. Lucid dreaming stops feeling like a special event and starts feeling like a place you know how to return to. The moment of realization becomes familiar, almost peaceful. You no longer rush through it. You recognize it, settle into it, and allow the dream to unfold. And that is the real secret of what to do after becoming lucid. Not action, not control, but presence. When you learn to remain present inside the dream remains with you. As your experience with lucid dreaming deepens, you begin to notice that the dream itself has a rhythm. It breathes, it expands and contracts in response to your attention. When you stop trying to force it into a particular shape, this rhythm becomes clearer, and you can move with it rather than against it. One of the most useful skills to develop at this stage is learning how to remain lucid without constantly reminding yourself that you are dreaming. At first, lucidity feels fragile, as if it might disappear the moment you stop thinking about it. But in reality, excessive self-checking can create tension. Instead of repeating, "This is a dream," over and over, allow lucidity to become a quiet background awareness, the way you remain aware of your body while walking without needing to think about every step. This shift often marks the transition from beginner to experienced lucid dreamer. There will be moments when the dream becomes so vivid and immersive that it almost feels more real than waking life. At these moments, some dreamers experience a subtle fear, a feeling of being too deep. This fear is natural. It comes from the mind, encountering a state it does not fully understand. The key is not to pull away from the experience, but to soften into it. The dream does not trap you. It holds you only as long as your attention remains there. Breathing awareness can be surprisingly powerful here. Even though you are not breathing with your physical lungs in the usual sense, bringing attention to a slow, steady rhythm of breath inside the dream helps maintain emotional balance. Many lucid dreamers discover that when the dream body feels calm, the dream environment follows. As you spend more time lucid, you may start to notice something else. The dream is not only responsive, it is communicative. The environment, the characters, even the transitions between scenes often feel meaningful. This does not mean that every detail has a hidden message, but it does mean that the dream is shaped by layers of your mind that are usually silent during waking life. Because of this, intention matters more than technique once you are fully inside the dream. When you hold an intention gently, without demanding a specific outcome, the dream often responds in unexpected but fitting ways. You may ask to understand something about yourself, and instead of receiving words, the dream shows you an image or a situation. You may ask a question and receive an answer through a feeling rather than a sentence. Learning to listen to these responses requires patience and openness. It is also common at this stage to encounter resistance. The dream may refuse to change in the way you expect. Objects may behave unpredictably. Characters may ignore your requests. This is not a failure of control. It is an invitation to interact rather than command. When something resists, try engaging with it instead of overpowering it. Ask it why it is there. Observe how it behaves. Often, resistance dissolves when curiosity replaces authority. Another important aspect of staying lucid longer is understanding transitions. Lucid dreams rarely remain in one scene forever. They shift, dissolve, and reform. Many people wake up during these transitions because they interpret the dissolving of a scene as the end of the dream. In reality, it is often just the dream changing its form. If the environment begins to fade, do not cling to the old scene. Let it go. Allow yourself to move into the darkness or the formless space without fear. Many long and profound lucid dreams begin in this in-between state, where there is no clear imagery yet, only awareness. From here, a new dream can emerge naturally. With practice, you may even learn to rest in this state, aware but without a dream scene, and watch as imagery slowly forms around you. This is one of the most stable positions for lucid dreaming, though it requires a level of calm that comes only with experience. As lucid dreams become longer, another challenge appears: remembering them clearly after waking. The richness of the experience can fade quickly if it is not integrated. This is why it is helpful, even inside the dream, to occasionally pause and take in the experience as a whole. Notice how it feels to be there. Over time, lucid dreaming begins to influence waking life as well. Many people report increased mindfulness, emotional regulation, and creativity. This is not because lucid dreams are magical, but because they train awareness, the same skills that keep you lucid: calm attention, emotional balance, openness to experience, are the skills that make waking life feel richer and more spacious. Eventually, the question shifts from "how do I stay in the dream longer?" to "how do I want to relate to this state of consciousness?" Lucid dreaming becomes less about achievement and more about exploration. Some nights you may fly across impossible landscapes. Other nights you may simply sit and observe. Both are equally valid expressions of lucidity. The most important lesson many experienced lucid dreamers learn is this: the dream does not need to be extraordinary to be meaningful. Even the simplest lucid moments, standing in a quiet room, feeling the texture of the walls, listening to distant sounds, can carry a deep sense of presence and clarity. And in those moments, the boundary between dreaming and waking begins to soften. Awareness feels continuous. Consciousness feels less confined to one state or another. When this happens, lucid dreaming is no longer just something you do at night. It becomes part of how you experience being aware at all. For many people, the biggest frustration with lucid dreaming is inconsistency. One night it happens effortlessly, and then weeks may pass without a single lucid moment. This creates the impression that lucid dreaming is random or unreliable. In reality, frequency is not about forcing results. It is about creating the right conditions both during the day and at night. Lucid dreams are not isolated events. They grow out of your relationship with awareness itself. One of the most overlooked truths is that lucid dreaming begins long before sleep. It begins with how present you are during the day. The same mind that moves automatically through waking life will move automatically through dreams. If awareness is rare while awake, it will be rare while dreaming. This is why people who naturally reflect, observe their thoughts, and notice their surroundings tend to become lucid more often, even without formal techniques. They are already practicing awareness, just in a different state. During the day, small moments of questioning reality quietly shape the mind, not in an obsessive or paranoid way, but gently, pausing to notice where you are, how you feel, what your body's doing, asking yourself whether you are fully present or lost in thought. These moments train a habit of awareness that eventually carries into dreams. At night, this habit continues. Another important factor is how you relate to sleep itself. Lucid dreaming does not thrive in a rushed or tense relationship with sleep. If you go to bed impatient, demanding results, or anxious about whether it will work, you are training the mind to stay tight and alert in an unhelpful way. Lucidity requires clarity, but it also requires softness. The most fertile mental state before sleep is calm curiosity. When you lie down, allow your intention to be simple, not a demand, not a goal, but a direction. You are not trying to control what will happen. You are inviting awareness to remain present as the body falls asleep. Even if lucidity does not arise that night, this intention still leaves an imprint. Over time, the mind learns that awareness is welcome during sleep. Dream recall also plays a much larger role than many people realize. The mind prioritizes what it believes is important. If dreams are forgotten immediately, the unconscious receives the message that dreams are disposable. When dreams are remembered, reflected on, and integrated, the mind begins to treat them as meaningful experiences rather than background noise. There's also a subtle shift that happens when you stop chasing lucid dreams and start allowing them. Many people become lucid more often when they stop trying every night and instead adopt a steady, patient practice. Lucidity tends to appear when the mind is alert but not grasping. This balance is delicate. Too much effort creates tension. Too little creates unconsciousness. Finding the middle ground is less about technique and more about sensitivity to your own mental state. Sleep cycles also matter. Lucid dreams are more likely when the mind is naturally closer to waking, such as during later stages of sleep. Learning to recognize this rhythm, waking briefly, and returning to sleep with awareness, can gently increase frequency without strain. But again, the attitude matters more than the method. The return to sleep should feel smooth, not forced. Over time, many lucid dreamers notice patterns unique to them. Certain emotional states, certain times of night, certain ways of falling asleep that seem to invite lucidity. Paying attention to these personal signals is far more effective than copying someone else's routine exactly. Lucid dreaming is deeply individual. Another often misunderstood aspect is motivation. If your only motivation is control, spectacle, or escape, lucid dreams may remain rare. When motivation includes curiosity, self-understanding, or genuine interest in the nature of consciousness, the mind opens more readily. Lucidity grows where attention is sincere. As lucid dreaming becomes more frequent, it may also become more subtle. Not every lucid dream will be dramatic or vivid. Some are quiet, almost ordinary, but marked by a gentle knowing. These experiences are just as valuable. They train continuity of awareness rather than excitement. Eventually, lucid dreaming stops feeling like something you are trying to achieve and starts feeling like something you are remembering how to do. The mind recognizes a dream state as familiar territory. Awareness slips in naturally without struggle. And perhaps the most important realization is this: every dream is already an opportunity for lucidity. Nothing extra needs to be added. Awareness does not have to be created, only noticed. When this understanding settles in, lucid dreams tend to arrive more often, not because you chase them, but because you make space for them. Dima, 1819. It is important to say this clearly and without illusions. Lucid dreaming is not easy. Anyone who tells you otherwise is simplifying something that is, by nature, subtle and demanding. If lucidity were effortless, it would be common. The fact that it remains rare for many people is not a personal failure. It is simply a reflection of how unusual sustained awareness truly is. Human consciousness is trained from early childhood to drift. We learn to operate on autopilot. We think, react, and move through the world without noticing most of it. Sleep is the deepest expression of this habit. To remain aware while the mind dissolves into dreaming goes directly against years of conditioning. This is why lucid dreaming feels difficult. You are not only learning a new skill, you are unlearning unconsciousness. For most people, the first attempts bring disappointment. Nights pass without results. Techniques seem inconsistent. Motivation rises and falls. This phase is not a sign that lucid dreaming is unreachable. It is the phase where expectations collide with the reality. Progress here is invisible, but it is real. What makes lucid dreaming particularly challenging is that effort alone does not guarantee success. In many areas of life, more effort produces better results. In lucid dreaming, excessive effort often produces the opposite. The mind becomes tense, vigilant in the wrong way, and this tension blocks the natural transition into sleep. Learning to balance intention with relaxation takes time. It cannot be rushed. Lucid dreaming is difficult because it asks for a rare balance: alertness without tension, intention without force, curiosity without expectation. These qualities are uncommon, but they are learnable, and that is why lucid dreaming, while challenging, remains fully within reach, not because you conquer sleep, but because you learn to remain present as it unfolds. When this understanding settles in, effort softens into patience, practice becomes quieter, and lucidity, slowly but steadily, begins to appear, not as a miracle, but as a natural extension of awareness itself.